Ryan Michalesko, staff photographer. File, Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott fires off a pass during the first half of an NFC divisional playoff game against the Los Angeles Rams on Saturday, Jan. 12, 2019, at LA Memorial Coliseum in Los Angeles. Ryan Michalesko, the Dallas Morning News, NFL Network analyst Bucky Brooks recently joined Jam Session on KESN-FM 103.3 ESPN to talk about all things Dallas Cowboys and NFL Draft. Editor's note: the following interview happened before the announcement of Jason Witten's return to the Cowboys. Here are some highlights on the kind of contract QB Dak Prescott could get. Brooks: it would be in the Cowboys' best interest to be on the front end of the situation rather than the back end. Even if they have to so-called overpay now and secure his services, you don't want to run into that Kirk Cousins situation where he has all the leverage. And if you don't sign him now and you let him hit the open market and you have to use the franchise tag, it only goes up. I think the Cowboys understand what they have in him. He really solidified the quarterback situation. And there's a lot of people on the outside that say that he's not a franchise quarterback. When you look at his class mix, what he's done compared to Jared Goff and Carson Wentz, you could make the argument that Dak has been the most productive and consistent of all those players. Dak is more than a game manager. He's a leader, he brings the intangible qualities, he's able to process all the information at the line of scrimmage to make sure the Cowboys get in the right play, and then he's also a playmaker. The thing that I would like to see from Dak and the Cowboys: how about we put him in some offensive plays a little more to his skill set? Why don't we utilize some of his running ability? Regardless, the only quarterback that has won more games than him since he started is Tom Brady. I think he deserves to get paid, and I think he will get paid. On how the Randy Gregory or David Irving news will impact how Dallas looks at the draft, Brooks: I think what the Cowboys will continue to do is to just take the best player available. When you look at this roster, defensively they're beginning to come on. Sure, they need some more pieces, but I think they also can find a tight end and maybe some other things. I think when you're sitting there in the second round, you just take the best player available and hopefully he fits one of your best needs. But I don't think they can go after or go chasing an edge rusher just because they had a couple of guys mess up on some quality defensive ends in the second round. Brooks: if you're Dallas and if you're really that desperate for an edge rusher, if you want to get one of those marquee guys, you're going to have to move up out of the second round to get him. A guy who could be on the slide could be Jalen Ferguson from Louisiana Tech. One of the reasons he could slide down is because people were underwhelmed with how he performed in the Senior Bowl, but then he was the FBS leader in sacks. One thing that always translates to the National Football League: guys who can sack the quarterback over multiple years, typically do so in the National Football League as well. I think for the Cowboys, it's trying the right guy at the right value without having to mortgage the farm. Because they gave up the first-round pick for Amari Cooper, that turned out well for them. They don't want to give up a lot of picks and leave themselves without the opportunity to fortify their roster. Editor's note: this interview took place before Jason Witten announced his return to football and the Dallas Cowboys on a one-year contract on tight ends who could be available in the second round. Brooks: this may be one of the deepest tight end classes that we've seen in terms of overall talent. When you think about right there at Texas A, he is someone that could be of interest. I also think Caden Smith from Stanford is another guy who could be in the mix at 58. You notice Stanford typically produces tight ends. They've been a football factory of late for producing those kinds of pass catcher, edge blockers for the last decade. I think at 58, Caden Smith could be there, and I think he'd be a nice upgrade of what they have at the position.